There you go. Showtime. You're
Good
live.
morning.
There.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nikki Geigert, and we are live on StreamYard. And I want to thank ReadersMagnet for allowing us to interview authors and just learn more about all of these books. And I want to welcome the audience, all of you out there that are listening in. This morning we are interviewing Rosella Calauti, and with me is Ellie Gachetta. So I'm surrounded by Italian. um, Let me introduce myself first. I am the author of six different books. Um, I am mainly a photographer and a world traveler. I have traveled 7 continents, and I use my photography in my books. And just to show you, the first one is Family Trip to Magical Madagascar and Beyond. And then I have A Girl's Greek Odyssey, and these were books that I wrote based upon travels with teenagers, international travels with teenagers, part of my family, who had never been internationally traveling, and so we had great fun doing it. My children's book is called Who's Yawning Now? And it's all about a whole variety of animals that I captured in the middle of a yawn. And it tells their story and what their level of endangerment is, and all of those kinds of things. As a teacher, when I was a teacher, I wrote this book, Read, Move, Learn, and it's kind of similar to what Rosella has done, but in a totally different way, because my book is it's a teacher resource book. And Rosella is here. And Rosella, would you tell them about yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Rosella Calauti, and I'm a teacher in a high school in the Hudson Valley. I teach career and technical education, or family and consumer sciences, as it is called. I teach a variety of subjects throughout the years within that domain, but right now I'm in human development, child development, career and finance, and intro to foods. And I'm a career changer. I started out studying fashion merchandising and working in the industry a little. Then I went into my own business, a sign business, and decided to become a commercial artist. So I went into that field, studied art for 2 years, obtained a degree, and continued. While I was there, I realized that I really wanted to teach. Never thought I'd be a teacher in my whole life, but I wanted to become an art teacher. Somebody was at work one day and she told me how she was making this transition. I said, wow, that sounds really interesting, because I was tired of the art. It wasn't like that personal connection was missing where I was. I was on a computer doing computer art. So I got tired of sitting in that cubby. So I decided to try a couple classes at Manhattanville College, where I obtained a Master's of Arts in Art Education, an MAT. And I was off to my start as an art teacher. I got out. I worked part-time as a teacher for a short while, and then the opportunity arose where I was offered a full-time job, which I grabbed at. And while I was there, it just happened to fall into place that I could become this family and consumer science teacher. I had all the qualifications. I had to take a state exam, and I would be duly certified. And my path just ended up there. It just kind of fell into place eventually.
Cool.
Very cool. And now we have Ellie Gachetta. And Ellie, would you tell us about yourself and your path to where you are now?
Well, I'm an author with ReadersMagnet, and I would like to thank ReadersMagnet for sponsoring the Festival of Storytellers for all of the authors who are participating, all 150 of us. I am in Colorado. I have 2 books. My first book is One Caregiver's Journey, which is a book about my 9.5 years of caregiving for my mother. She fell and broke her hip at the age of 93, and I was forced to retire from a 40-year career. And I was her 24/7 caregiver until her death in my home at the age of 102. My second book, which is the book that is featured at the Festival of Storytellers, is Generations of Good Food. And it's a book that is a compilation of 200 recipes of mostly Italian cooking. And it came about after my mother's passing, and I was painting a pantry. I ran into all of her cookbooks and all of her recipes and decided to put together a cookbook for my nieces and grandnieces, and just kind of sort of got published along the way. And that's kind of where that's kind of how I got to where I am.
Okay, for those of you who may have just turned us on, again, this is sponsored by ReadersMagnet, and feel free to use the chat box for any questions you might have, and any questions will be answered the second part of the hour. And again, this is Ellie Gachetta and Rosella Calauti, and we are interviewing Rosella Calauti today, and my name is Nikki Geigert. So welcome to everyone, and this is, we're all storytellers. This is the Festival of Storytellers. So welcome, welcome, welcome everyone. So Rosella, what inspired you to start writing?
It's not so much about writing for me. Like my book, as you can see, is a picture book. So I'm really more of an artist. I've been drawing since the beginning of time. Love to sketch things and have fun with it. So writing wasn't my big thing. It was more about illustration and drawing. And actually the writing came about later. I actually was in a course in SUNY New Paltz, getting in my second master's. And I took a course where an instructor taught us about Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. And he required us to write a book. So it was something that clicked, and something I always wanted to do is kind of like a bucket list thing, just for the fun of it. And it really opened up a lot of my creativity. And before I knew it, this little book transformed into something so much bigger. And yes. So that's how it started and what inspired me. And obviously the events that were happening in my life. I was becoming an aunt for the very first time. I had changed careers a few years before. I had this position teaching high school students about becoming like teachers and working with different levels of children in their development, because it was a daycare that high school students run. It was called the Teens and Tots program. Yes.
Okay. And then, so when did you actually start writing this actual book?
Probably took me about 1.5 years to write this book. So it had to start, maybe actually it was a few years into my teaching, a few years, not too many. And that's when I started. Like I said, in that class is where it began. And I don't know, I got inspired, and I decided, hey, I'm going to just give this a try now.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Ellie, did you have any questions?
No, I'm just listening to Rosella talk about how she's has changed her careers from fashion design and how she's changed her careers from fashion design and art. Your illustrations are just so colorful, and so it's such a colorful and beautiful book. No, I'm just I'm just watching all of this. Thank you. I'm listening. I don't know if I have a question.
Sure.
Rosella, how did you decide on the characters in your book, and what characters did you use? Can you show us?
Sure. I'm going to show you a page in the book so you see the characters. It's about friends, and it's about people I've met in my life, and one special one is Salvatore. That is my brand new nephew that came into our life, and he's in the book. And I just thought of people I knew, and I created animals because I noticed that little children love to use their imagination. They love animals. And I tried to get a diverse variety of characters for them to relate to. Everything from a little girl to a lion, a bunny, and a panda.
Oh, that's a panda. Okay.
Yes. And they become friends for life.
Rosella, I have a question for you. I know that you're a teacher in New York. Are you in an area in New York where kids can have pets? And because kids love animals, do they have pets? Do you have a lot of that in your area, or are you in an area?
We have a lot. Yes, I'm in the suburbs.
Okay, good.
I teach actually in a small city. Outside, and it's actually a very multicultural school district, and there are a lot of animals around, even just roaming around. And sure, everybody has animals. They have dogs, they have cats, lots of animals. It's a whole bit.
So do any of your characters depict their pets? Do the kids, because if your training is in social development, and there's nothing like little kids and teens trying to meld their differences. I mean, I think that's just a super thing. But going back to the animals, it seems like a puppy's a great place to start.
I just really went with the personality and the diversity. You got a lion versus a rabbit. So how does a lion and a rabbit really get along in life? They don't, right?
They don't.
But that's what it's all about, overcoming the obstacles.
Okay, I get it now. Thank you so much.
Okay, so Rosella, what things in your book help develop, because you talked about literacy skills. What things in your book help develop literacy skills?
So I think actually the illustrations help develop literacy skills because they are so colorful and interesting. So children learn to describe things very well, what they see, and it has adverbs in it. Here, there, everywhere. Those are your adverbs. So the book develops a lot of literacy skills, even though it's a very simple picture book.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so since this is a second career path for you, and you never really thought about being a writer, what advice would you give to a new writer, somebody that's just getting started?
My advice would be to keep a journal, first of all. Write everything you can think of, draw whatever you can, even if you're scribbling and doodling, do it, collect it. And then I would suggest that you think about your audience, start developing and thinking about your audience, understand them and who they are. That's an important part of it. And like I said, I relate back to that hero's journey because I feel it really represents life. I mean, you have the ordinary life. We get a call, we go out, we meet our obstacles, and then it's all about how we overcome those obstacles. So I could really relate to that. And I found that piece really inspired me to write the book. And it's a literary piece from that because those are literary suggestions.
Ellie, you
Life
have,
isn't always full of obstacles, Rosella. Life has brought you some. Yes, you kind of maybe stumbled into this, but you're the obstacle that you may have had turned out to be quite a shining star, I might say.
Well, obstacles don't always have to be negative, right? They
Right.
can be positive.
that's right. Okay, so in writing this book, is this your first book or your only book just now?
This is my first and only book, so it's a new thing for me in a way.
You can
Okay.
write more?
I haven't yet.
Oh.
Do you plan to?
I may. I'm waiting for that inspiration again.
Oh, so in writing this book, did you ever experience what we call writer's block?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that.
The way that my creative time is really my quiet time. So if I can escape everything and everyone, even the people that I really enjoy being with, whether it's taking a walk, even going to work, it's a beautiful ride where I am. I have a 40-minute ride to work, especially with the sun rising. I'm up early. I see that sunrise and the leaves in the fall. I find all that very inspiring. It's quiet and things just pop in my mind. And things look interesting that I see. Like I'll see a tree and I'll see, gee, that's a really interesting tree. Look at the colors. Look at the notches in the bark. And it's like a story to me.
Yeah.
And I guess it's that artist training. Like, you go to art school and they show you these paintings that you look at and you have to really delve into them and see the story when you start looking at them to understand them.
Yeah, I'm one that would take a picture. Anything I see that I enjoy, I take a picture of it.
So you can relate.
I can, yes.
How funny. How funny. I kept a journal for 9.5 years while I was caregiving for my mother. And that's how I ended up deciding to write a caregiver's book. And I think that it's a way of cataloging your ideas and your experiences. And in my case, it was, can my experience help somebody else? In your experience, it's sharing what you know and trying to make people get along with each other and to learn that our differences really aren't that different.
True.
Mm-hmm. So, Rosella, what things in your book would you say would lend themselves to helping a child feel more secure?
Okay. So being secure, I'm going to give you an example. Right here, actually. The playground. Right?
Yeah.
Here is our playground. Outside, we can run, jump, and play games with our friends. Salvatore and Lori enjoy riding the seesaw, but Lee thinks the slide is more fun. Brandy and Erica like to ride the swings instead. It's saying it's okay. If you don't like one thing, that's okay. There's another thing, and there's other people to do it with. We just have to be open. We have to be friendly. We have to smile. And it's a way to teach them those social skills.
I see.
Right? Because this book reaches out, I think, to even adults in a sense, and they can use it as a tool because you need to talk to children about making friends and how to make them. And I think Friends Here, There, Everywhere is going to illustrate that and say it for you to bring it to a simpler term. Because when you speak to children, they need those simple directions. They need the visuals, simple things to understand the process.
But adults also need that a lot as well sometimes.
Yeah.
What did you say, Ellie?
I said adults need simple to understand things sometimes as well.
Absolutely. So, okay. When it comes to plot, normally one would think that a children's storybook really doesn't have plot, but it does. So, how did you decide which page comes before the other, and did your plot come first or did your characters come first?
I would say my plot came first. It's what the story was about and what I wanted to achieve. So you had to have a goal, and then goal was the main thing. So once I came up with that goal, I started developing my characters. And then I started thinking, gee, where would I go as a child to meet friends? What would I do with my time? And I thought about my childhood, the things that I did, the places I went. And I looked at the children that I encounter every day. And I started watching them and noting things in my mind. And eventually I decided to start drawing, what are they doing? And then I had a bunch of scenes where children are doing these different things. And I kind of looked at it like, gee, what am I going to do? So it kind of came together into the story. And it's really showing you that kids in different areas of their community and activities and things they encounter along the way. So you'll see each page when I read it later, if we have some time, they're in different areas of the community.
I see. And then when you developed your plot and your characters, describe how that went.
How did it go? It was a challenge. I'll tell you, this book has been revised so many times. I wanted to pull out the original. I didn't get a chance to do that. It was really a mock-up, and it's gone through so many revisions, and having to sit there and not only get the details a little bit at a time. Like, not only is it a girl and a boy about their future careers here playing, dress up and what they're going to do in the future. It's about who are they? What are they doing? What would a child say? What would they do? So it's capturing that. And then associate it. You're doing social skills like this one here. Friends are there to help and tell each other they care. Lee and Brandy like to play dress up. Lee wants to be a doctor when he grows up. So they're caring for each other, right? They got the bear. He's pretending to be a doctor. And that's what it is. It's developing those skills and talking to them about it. And helping them develop their imagination is a very important thing, to give them those opportunities to explore.
Okay. And then the title of your book, Here, There, Everywhere. Did you come out with that first, or where?
Actually, I did.
Huh?
I did my cover first.
Did you do your title first?
No.
When did your title come in?
After the drawing, the complete title. I mean, I went through a couple different times and I've changed it quite a few. And at first it was Friends. Then it was, I don't know, Friends something. And I started Googling, gee, there's, how many books have the name Friends? And I said, I got to change this. And no, but the cover, it's always the drawing that comes first, the idea, the creativity for me. And that's when I think of Friends, and I thought, gee, friends near and close. So I put some friends on the moon, because we have friends that are far away. We have friends that are with us, near us. So somebody's on Earth, and then all the stars and hearts between.
Mm-hmm.
Very symbolic.
So then when you're writing and you journaled, did you, in your journaling, did any parts of your journaling actually translate into becoming this book, or what?
Yes. Oh yeah, they definitely did. The book is based on that. Some of it totally changed, but yeah, that's what it all was about. Like I said, I drew these community scenes. I was thinking about friends. Gee, where would they meet friends? First of all, I asked myself, and that's where I started, I think. And I did the cover, and then I said, well, friends, but what about friends? Where can they meet them? So I started thinking of all these places in the community, how children make friends, and I started drawing little scenes and labeling little scenes. And before you know it, I said, oh, gee, you got friends here, there, everywhere.
Are any of these friends your friends?
Yes, they are. Everything's based on real, to be honest.
Good for you.
And then do you have any ideas on what determines, in writing a book, what determines good writing versus not so good writing? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think good writing is the most important thing is to be simple, to the point, have those action verbs, those descriptions or adjectives to describe things. You have to make it interesting and captivating. So I think that's a very important part. So if you have an eye-catching story, they're going to go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I think the illustrations do play a big part.
Yeah, I
So
totally.
if you're a visual person.
I totally agree. And when I wrote my book, Read, Move, Learn, it was all about action verbs. It was all about prepositions, under, over, around, beside, between, through. Those are prepositions, and those are all very important in vocabulary development for young children, because they go, if you ask a child to line up behind you, where is behind you? Where is in front of you? Where is beside me? And how do you go under something versus through something? And so when I owned a large gymnastics school, I had preschool motor development. Those are the things that I taught young children. So you're spot on as far as the things that you're working on or having children work on in your book. So yeah. So anyway, would you like to read your book to us?
Sure, I would love to read the book to you.
Okay, let's have a read.
Okay. Friends here, there, everywhere. And I'm going to just skip to the beginning. Just bear with me a second. Friends are here waiting to meet. So greet those around you with a smile and say hello. Introduce yourself to others you may want to know. Here is our school. Inside, friends can listen and learn together. Lee's fear of talking in front of the class disappeared quickly when he realized he was part of a class community. Right? We have Salvatore, Brandy, Lori, and Lee. Here is our playground. Outside, we can jump and play games with our friends. Salvatore and Lori enjoy riding the seesaw, but Lee thinks the slide is more fun. Brandy and Erica like to ride the swings instead. Friends are there to help and tell each other they care. Lee and Brandy like to play dress up. Lee wants to become a doctor when he grows up. Friends are there. Brandy and Lori are making a cake for Salvatore's birthday. Shh, don't tell him. There are some friends near who share their toys. There are some friends far away who we must write a letter to or send an email. Salvatore and Erica became pen pals when she moved away. Friends are everywhere. Lori met her best friend Lee when she joined the Jungle Soccer Club. We can join clubs that do things we think are fun too. Friends are everywhere, so we must look beside and between. Friends are to the left, and friends are to the right. Friends are above, and friends are below. Friends are down the street at Lee's house, climbing up a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Friends are around the neighborhood. Salvatore met Brandy when she moved into the same apartment building. Friends are met through the community. Some friends remain through thick and thin. Brandy and I have been friends for a long time. They met on a camping trip and had fun toasting marshmallows together. Best friends are those who care and those who share. Lori, Salvatore, Brandy, and Lee promise to be friends forever. Making friends. Greet those you meet with a smile and say hello. Introduce yourself and ask them how they are. Say something nice. Give them a chance to speak. Listen, share, and just be you. Because friends will laugh at your jokes and make you feel good. Reach out. There's nothing to fear. Because friends are here. Friends are there. Friends are everywhere. That's the end.
Fun.
Very cute.
It's fun.
So here's the rule on children's books.
Okay.
They're supposed to be 32 pages. Did you follow those rules?
You know, to be honest with you, I've lost track how many pages are in it. To be honest, I don't know.
Oh, that's what I in my children's book, Who's Yawning Now? I went over by 3 pages.
Uh-oh.
It is what it is. So, yeah, some publishing houses get real tight as far as got to stick to 32 pages, no more.
Well, I felt, you know, I like I said, I felt that children have a short attention span too at that age.
Mhm.
So you really don't want too long of a book.
Okay, Eleanor?
Nikki, I think there's a question from the audience that I'm seeing on our chat.
Yes, I was going to get to that. I was going to give you a chance first. Okay.
Rosella, I'll ask you the audience
Sure.
question. Was the journaling, when you were journaling prior to your writing the book, was that a conscious effort to write a kid's book, or did the kid's book come into being based on your journal entries?
It came from my journal entries. I was not planning to write a book. Like I said, I had been drawing for years just for fun, you know, and I took this class in college and he taught me about Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. And it really helped me open up my creativity and understand, hey, it's not just a picture. There's a whole story here. And from there, I built upon it.
Uh-huh. Okay. For those of you that may have just come in, this is StreamYard, and we're in the Festival of Storytellers, which is put on by ReadersMagnet. And we would welcome if there are any people in the audience who would like to ask our author, Rosella Calauti, any questions. You're welcome to do it just now. In the meantime, Rosella, are you planning another book or anything like that?
Maybe someday. I'm not sure right now when it's going to happen, but yeah, I would like to.
What are you doing now what are you doing now? You're teaching, but would your experiences come, do you think, in a different genre, or would you continue, you think, to write children's books?
I think I would write children's books because, like I said, I'm an artist at heart. I like to draw, and I feel that's the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, is there anything else that you would like to add that, Rosella, that we haven't asked you?
I'd like to share my website and my booth with everyone. If I could just put it here in the chat for people, so if they'd like to explore. That's my webpage. And the book.
www.
My last name.
Yeah, Calauti.
Yeah. Yes.
That's Rosella's website. And
Rosella, do you have a booth in the Festival of Storytellers?
Yes. If you look here, friends, here, there, everywhere, it's the name of my book, so you can find my booth.
Good.
okay.
Are you planning on doing any live streaming in your booth, maybe reading your book or talking about your book from your booth?
Yes, I do. I'm going to read from my booth. I might even do a creative project.
Super.
That would sound fun.
Yeah.
Good
So
for you.
I don't think we have any audience questions just now. So maybe I could add some of the things that I have done. I've had a large and varied career. First as a teacher, and I at one time owned the largest recreational developmental gymnastics school in Northern California. And I had little characters that I would use for getting children to do things on the bars. You know, if they were afraid, I would tell them stories about how Peter and Polly Possum hung from the bars, and this is how they hung. Let's see if you can pretend to be Peter or Polly or whoever. And so I had all kinds of stories for children. And yeah, so then my next step, my first step actually into writing was a curriculum guide for preschool gymnastics that was actually sold nationally. Yeah, and then from there I wrote the Read, Move, Learn book, and it's based upon music and movement. And we had 70 books. It's co-authored with my best friend Carol Hammett, who's also Italian. And so yeah, and she was principal, and we co-wrote the book, and she focused on early childhood literacy development, and I focused in on the movement and music and all kinds of things like that. So there
Were you a gymnast? Were you a gymnast, Nikki? Were you a gymnast?
Yeah.
Do you still do cartwheels?
I can do cartwheels, but no more flips.
Yeah.
No.
Rosella, were you ever athletic?
I actually was took gymnastics when I was young. Baton twirling, gymnastics. Yeah, I was into all that.
Yeah, out of all the sports, I was a phys ed teacher, and out of all the sports that I taught, gymnastics was my favorite. So that's how I got into owning a gymnastics school. And one of my my little students was Tracy Talavera, who was in another. She went into a couple other gyms, and she's a former Olympian, 1980, 1984. So I knew her the whole time she was growing up, and I worked for USA Gymnastics as an instructor. So I knew a lot of the Olympic gymnasts, both male and female, and that was a whole lot of fun. So yeah, my background is very, very fun and very, very varied. So yeah, all kinds of things like that.
So Rosella, Nikki is a photographer. Have you, and in your career as in art and fashion, do you do a lot of photography?
It's not my specialty, to be honest with you. I've taken courses in it. It's not my specialty.
Aha. So your specialty is more with the pen and paper.
Yes.
Pencil and paper, I should say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh.
Exactly.
Yeah, I used to paint. And then when I had my son, it was like, okay, we're not bringing out the paints anymore. But I was a photographer from the time I was 10. So yeah, so I've gone pro, and all of my photography is incorporated into all of the books that I've written. And yeah, it's been fun. It's been really fun doing all of that.
And
So,
Rosella, you told us beforehand that you have a friend who helps you with your illustrations.
Well, yeah, was actually, this book was published, and actually through the publisher, I connected with Irene Olds, who we communicated together, and we detailed what I wanted, and she came up with the final and the colors and all that. She put the colors in and everything.
And
I
she's a
discussed
fine
what I
job.
wanted, and I said I wanted it bright.
That's what I
And
said with my book as well. With
yeah,
my book, I wanted it bright.
to really illustrate my own book someday. And I almost wish I did this time.
yeah, that's a
Like this
great.
wasn't something planned for me. I just kind of dived in and did it. It was inspiration. It was something I just always wanted to do.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So, okay. Is there anything else anybody would like to say before we bring it to an end and wrap it up, as they say?
Nikki, why don't we invite our audience to visit all the booths if they have an opportunity?
Yes, definitely. This might be a little early for those on the West Coast to jump in, but please do visit all of the booths. This is just go to festivalofstorytellers.com and click on the events, and that should hopefully lead you to the booths and those kinds of things. Do you have a easier way of telling them, Ellie?
No, click on the events. You could see who the author of the hours are for the remainder of the day.
Yes.
And click on the booths and poke around and look at your various genres and fall into R3 booths, and especially don't forget to check out Rosella's booth, since she's our author of the hour.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you.
Thank you,
it was
Rosella.
nice. It was lovely to meet you, Rosella, and interview you. And now I have all of my questions answered about your book. So I was very, very curious, actually.
Thank you again.
Thank
So,
you.
okay, y'all take care.